Ibrahim Traoré, French, Ibrahim Traoré, born March 14, 1988, is a Burkinabe military officer and politician who has served as the interim president of Burkina Faso since 2022. Age 37, he is currently the youngest head of state in the world. 4. Born in Kara, Traoré graduated from the University of Ouagadougou in 2009 with a bachelor's degree in science and geology. He shortly joined the Burkina Faso Armed Forces and received military training abroad, reportedly in Morocco and France. Traoré gained experience fighting jihadist insurgents in the country. In 2019, he was deployed to Mali with the United Nations peacekeeping mission MINUSMA. In September 2022, Traoré led a coup against then-interim President Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba and at the age of 34, became Burkina Faso's youngest head of state, surpassing Thomas Sankara and Blaise Compaoré, and also became the world's youngest head of state. During his tenure, Traoré has sought to distance the country from its former colonial power, France, and played an instrumental role in founding the Alliance of Sahel States. He also serves as the second leader of the Patriotic Movement for Safeguard and Restoration, PMSR, the ruling military junta in Burkina Faso, since 2022. Early life and education. Edit. Ibrahim Traoré was born in Kara, Bandakwi, Muhan Province, on 14 March 1988, 6. After receiving his primary education in Bandakwi, he attended a high school in Bobo-Dioulasso, the second largest city in Burkina Faso, where he was known as being quiet and very talented. 7. From 2006-7. He studied geology at the University of Ouagadougou. 1. He was part of the Association of Muslim Students, 7-8, and the Marxist National Association of Students of Burkina Faso, ANIB. In the latter, he rose to delegate and became known for defending his classmates in disputes. 1. He graduated from the university with honors. 7. Military career. Edit. Traoré joined the Army of Burkina Faso in 2009-7 and graduated from the Georges Namono Military Academy. 1. He was sent to Morocco for anti-aircraft training before being transferred to an infantry unit in Kaya, a town in northern Burkina Faso. Promoted to lieutenant in 2014, Traoré joined MINUSMA, a United Nations peacekeeping force involved in the Mali War. In 2018, he was cited as one of the MINUSMA soldiers who showed courage during major rebel attacks in the Timbuktu region. He subsequently returned to Burkina Faso where he assisted in operations against the escalating jihadist insurgency. Traoré fought at Djibo, 1, in the Otapunu offensive of 2019, and several other counterinsurgency operations in the country's north. 7. He was promoted to captain in 2020. 7-8. Traoré later said that he became disillusioned with his country's leadership around this time, as he saw the widespread lack of equipment of Burkinabe soldiers, while politicians were handing out suitcases of money for bribery. He gradually became the spokesman for soldiers stationed in the north who were frustrated over their government. Rise to power. Traoré was part of the group of army officers that supported the January 2022 Burkina Faso coup d'état and brought the Patriotic Movement for Safeguard and Restoration military junta to power. 9-3. From March 2022, he served as the head of an artillery regiment in Kaya. 7-3. Whether he was ever associated with the Cobra, Special Forces, a counter-terrorist unit founded in 2019, is disputed. According to the BBC, Al Jazeera, and Die Tage he was part of the unit at some point. 8-10. However, the news magazine Jeune Afrique stated that he was never associated with the Cobras. 3. Many supporters of the January coup became dissatisfied with the performance of Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, the junta's leader, regarding his inability to contain the jihadist insurgency. Traoré later said that he and other officers had tried to get Damiba to refocus on the rebellion, but eventually opted to overthrow him as his ambitions were diverting away from what we set out to do. 9. The dissatisfaction about the situation was highest among younger officers who fought against the rebels at the front lines. 11. In addition, there were delays in pay for the Cobra troops. 8. When the plotters launched their coup on September 30th, Traoré still held the rank of captain. 9. The operation was carried out with support of the Cobra Unit 211. In the direct aftermath of the coup, Traoré was chosen as the new head of the Patriotic Movement for Safeguard and Restoration. 11. On October 6, he also assumed the position of interim president as head of state, supreme head of the armed forces. 12. He initially promised to hold democratic elections in July 2024. 13. Presidency. Edit. Consolidation of power. Edit. As president, Traoré has maintained the enigmatic and very formal behavior for which he had already been known prior to rising to power. He has kept a tight control on his communication while carefully trying to present himself primarily as a war leader. His presidency has also seen an increase of pro-government propaganda in Burkinabe traditional media and social media. Politically, Le Monde journalist Sophie Daus described Traoré as influenced by Marxism and Pan-Africanism. 1. In spring 2023, Traoré questioned the planned restoration of democracy for 2024, stating that elections could not be held unless the insurgents were pushed back and the security situation had been improved. 14. This statement reneged on the October 2022 promise he made in negotiations to secure the formal resignation of his deposed predecessor Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, to honor Damiba's pledge to the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to restore civilian rule in Burkina Faso. In 2 years. On September 26, 2023, dissatisfied elements of the military again rose up and unsuccessfully attempted to overthrow Traoré. 16. National consultations were held on the 25th and the 26th of May 2024 to discuss the future of the transition in Burkina Faso. While participants included civil society representatives, most political parties boycotted the consultations. The result was the extension of Traoré's mandate for an additional 5 years while also allowing him to contest the next presidential elections. 17, 18, 19. On December 6, 2024, Traoré dissolved his government and removed Tambila as prime minister. 20. Later that month, the government issued pardons for 21 ex-military officers who had been convicted prior to Traoré's rise to power for their involvement in the 2015 Burkina Faso coup attempt. 21. In April 2025, Traoré's government announced that it had prevented a planned coup attempt, which it accused the government of Côte d'Ivoire of backing. 22. Economic policies. Edit. Natural resources policies. Edit. In November 2023, Burkina Faso's Council of Ministers approved the construction of the country's first gold refinery. This marked a significant development in Burkina Faso's gold sector, aiming to capitalize on the nation's growing gold mining industry. Traoré seeks to gain more control over its gold resources by refining gold domestically rather than exporting unrefined materials. This would increase government revenue and economic benefits from the gold sector. The refinery is set to create 100 new jobs and 5,000 new indirect jobs, with the refinery producing roughly 400 kilograms of gold daily. 23. In February 2024, Traoré ordered the suspension of the issuance of export permits for small-scale private gold production, a move reportedly aimed at tackling illicit trade, which consists of smuggling gold abroad, avoiding taxes and regulations, and cleaning up the artisanal gold sector. This suspension aims to crack down on such activities and ensure that exported gold is properly documented and contributes to government revenue. The government hopes this suspension will establish a more formal and accountable system for exporting small-scale produced gold. 24, 25. In the first half of 2025, Burkina Faso accelerated its state-led nationalization of foreign-owned mining assets as part of the broader shift toward resource sovereignty. On April 29, Prime Minister Jean-Emmanuel Ouedraogo announced that the government intended to continue expanding control over foreign-owned industrial mines. This followed the enactment of a revised mining code in 2024 and the creation of the Société de Participation Minière du Burkina, SOPAMIB, a state-owned mining company. By then, SOPAMIB had already taken control of 2 operational gold mines, Bungu and Wagnian, previously owned by London-listed Endeavour Mining. These moves were meant to enhance national revenue and prioritize local expertise, despite investor concern. These initiatives saw a surge in state-collected gold. In 2024, state-controlled entities collected over 8 tons of gold, and in just the first quarter of 2025 more than 11 tons of gold were collected. 26. On June 12, 2025, a presidential decree finalized the transfer of 5 additional gold mining assets into Sapamib. These included 2 operating mines and 3 exploration licenses from subsidiaries of Endeavour Mining and Lilium, namely Wagnian Gold SA, Semafo Bunga SA, Resources Ferk SARL, Griffin Minerals Burkina Faso SARL, and Lilium Mining Services Burkina Faso SARL. At that time, Burkina Faso ranked as Africa's 4th largest gold producer. 27. Social policies. In July 2024, Traoré's government announced its intention to criminalize homosexuality in Burkina Faso. 28. Traoré's government has faced controversy over its policies towards the freedom of the press. In March 2023, his government banned France 24 from broadcasting in the country after the network aired an interview with the leader of Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, several months after banning Radio France Internationale on grounds of having aired a threat issued by a terrorist leader. 29. In June 2024, 4 prominent Burkinabe journalists who had criticized the government were detained, with the government announcing several months later that 3 of the journalists had been forcibly conscripted into the Burkinabe military. In March 2025, an additional 3 journalists were detained and conscripted. 30. Military policies. The Islamist insurgency in Burkina Faso has been a major focus of Traoré's presidency. In his first month in power, his government launched a major recruitment campaign for the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland Auxiliary Force, recruiting 50,000 people. 31. In April 2023, Traoré declared a general mobilization of the population to support the military, as rebel forces continued to increase the rate of their attacks. 32. Traoré publicly pledged to reconquer all rebel-held areas and that there would be no negotiations until the insurgency had been greatly weakened. 1. In July 2023, his government implemented a number of new taxes intended to raise funds for the military, including a 5% tax on phone and internet bills as well as a 10% on subscriptions to television channels. 33. As of February 2024, the number of deaths caused by Islamist violence had significantly increased since 2022. 34. According to experts and human rights watchdogs, violence has worsened since Traoré came to power. 35. On May 23, 2024, Traoré called on the Burkinabe population to assist the military in digging trenches around settlements. 36. On August 24, 2024, jihadists from Jamaat Nasser al-Islam wal Muslimin, JNIM, killed up to 600 civilians digging trenches around the town of Barcelogo in Samatenga province. They had been ordered by the military to dig the trenches as part of a plan by the Minister of Civil Service. Traoré was criticized for endorsing the construction of the trenches by civilians. 35. As of a week after the massacre, Traoré had yet released an official statement about the attack.